The receipt fell out of Julia's purse like a confession, landing face up on our kitchen counter, with the kind of timing that makes you believe in cosmic justice. Presidential suite, 2 nights, $847.50. Signed, J&T Forever, in my wife's looping handwriting. I teach high school English, so I know dramatic irony when I see it. Here I was, grading essays about betrayal in Macbeth, while holding proof that my own Lady Macbeth had been washing imaginary bloodstains off her hands in luxury hotels with Travis Dorsey. "Andy, honey, did you find my lipstick?" Julia called from upstairs, her voice honey-sweet like it always got when she was lying. "No," I called back, photographing the receipt with my phone. "But I found something interesting." Julia Harlan descended our staircase like she was making an entrance at a movie premiere. At 39, she still turned heads wherever she went. Real estate had been good to her. Or maybe it was the other way around. Designer clothes, perfect makeup, that practiced smile that could sell a haunted house to a priest. "What's that, baby?" She kissed my cheek, leaving a lipstick mark that probably cost more than my daily salary. I held up the receipt. Presidential suite. Fancy. Her face didn't change, but I caught the micro-expression, a tiny tightening around her eyes, that most people would miss. I'd been married to her for 15 years. I didn't miss anything anymore. "Oh, that's from the Henderson closing." Mr. Henderson insisted on celebrating at the Marriott. "You know how these big sales go. Mr. Henderson signs his name, J&T Forever. That's Travis's handwriting. He was there too, obviously. Business partners celebrate together, Andy. Don't be paranoid." Travis Dorsey. Of course, Maplewood's golden boy developer. The man who'd turned our sleepy Midwest town into his personal kingdom. 49 years old. Silver-haired, drove a vintage Corvette like he was still in high school. The kind of guy who collected trophies, buildings, cars, women. Right, business. I folded the receipt and slipped it into my wallet. How silly of me. Julia's smile flickered. "Andy, you're being weird. It's just work. I know exactly what it is." That night, she rolled away from me in bed, claiming a headache. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe, wondering how long this had been going on. How many receipts had I missed? How many times had she come home smelling like expensive cologne that wasn't mine? My phone buzzed. A text from Brent Morrison, my fellow teacher and the closest thing I had to a best friend. "Drinks tomorrow? You look like you need them." I did need them. What I needed more was a plan. The next morning, I taught my first period about dramatic irony in Othello. "The audience knows what the character doesn't," I explained to 30 bored teenagers. "We see the truth while the protagonist stumbles around in darkness." "That's depressing, Mr. Harlan," said Jessica Chen, one of my brighter students. "Life's depressing, Jessica. Literature just makes it artistic." After school, I met Brent at Murphy's Tavern, a dive bar that served decent burgers and minded its own business. Brent was everything I wasn't: tall, athletic, confident with women. He taught chemistry and coached football, which made him roughly 10 times more popular than the English teacher who assigned too much homework. "You look like hell," he said, sliding into the booth across from me. "Thanks, really what I needed to hear." "Julia, meh." I showed him the receipt. Brent whistled low. Presidential suite. Travis doesn't mess around. You know about Travis. Everyone knows about Travis. Guy's been collecting married women like baseball cards since his divorce. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I took a long pull of my beer. I don't know yet. You could confront them. And then what? She denies it, he denies it. I look like the paranoid husband. You could get a lawyer. With what money? She handles our finances. Probably been moving assets around for months. Brent leaned forward. Or you could get creative. Meaning Travis Dorsey has made a lot of enemies in this town. Pushed out small businesses, bribed city council members, screwed over contractors. Guy's got more skeletons than a Halloween store. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that sometimes the best revenge is just giving people what they deserve. That weekend, Julia announced she was going to a girls' weekend in Chicago with her friends Marcia and Gina. I smiled and kissed her goodbye, then drove to the Marriott downtown. The presidential suite was booked solid. Same name on the register, J&T Forever. I sat in the lobby for 3 hours, reading student essays and drinking overpriced coffee. At 4:17 p.m., they walked in together. Julia wore a red dress I'd never seen before. Travis had his hand on the small of her back, guiding her toward the elevators like he owned her. They didn't see me. Why would they? I was just furniture, background noise, the boring husband who graded papers and watched Netflix alone. But I saw them. I saw everything. Monday morning brought the kind of October chill that cuts through your jacket and settles in your bones. I was grading papers in my classroom when Principal Golding knocked on my door. "Andy, got a minute?" Margaret Golding was a decent boss, the kind who remembered your birthday and didn't micromanage, but she looked uncomfortable, shifting her weight from foot to foot. "What's up?" "I got a call from the school board. Someone complained about your teaching methods." "What kind of complaint?" "Apparently you've been assigning inappropriate material. Too much focus on adultery and betrayal themes." I almost laughed. "We're reading Shakespeare and Hawthorne. It's the curriculum." I know, but maybe tone it down a little." The complaint came from someone influential. Let me guess, Travis Dorsey? Her face told me everything. "Just be careful, Andy. I can't protect you if this escalates." That afternoon, Julia announced we were going to dinner at Chez Laurent, the fanciest restaurant in town. "To celebrate," she said. "Celebrate what?" "Travis offered me a partnership in his new development. I'll be handling all residential sales." Of course he did. "Congratulations." Chez Laurent was packed with Maplewood's elite. Mayor Richardson sat at table 6. Judge Morrison held court at the bar. And there, at the best table in the house, sat Travis Dorsey with his wife Amanda. Julia waved at them like old friends. Travis stood up, all smiles and expensive suit. "Andy, good to see you, buddy. How's the teaching business?" "Educational." He laughed like I'd said something hilarious. "I bet. Hey, Amanda and I were just talking about you, weren't we, honey?" Amanda Dorsey was a tired-looking woman who'd clearly given up fighting her husband's wandering eye. She nodded politely. "Travis was telling me about your little complaint to the school board," Julia said, her voice carrying just enough to reach nearby tables. "About Andy's teaching methods." "Oh, that." Travis waved dismissively. "Just looking out for the kids, you know. Some of that old literature is pretty heavy stuff." "Heavy how?" I asked. "All that cheating and lying and revenge, not really appropriate for impressionable minds." The irony was so thick you could cut it with a knife. "You think teenagers can't handle reading about adultery? I think they should focus on positive themes. Success, achievement, winning, like in your business." His smile tightened. "Exactly like my business." Julia kicked me under the table. "Andy's just passionate about literature, aren't you, honey?" "Very passionate. Especially about stories where the villain gets what's coming to them." "Well," Travis said, "in real life, the good guys usually win." Define good guys. The tension was thick enough to choke on. Amanda excused herself to the restroom. Julia followed, leaving me alone with Travis. "Let me give you some advice, Andy," he said, leaning across the table. "In this town, there are players and there are spectators. You're a spectator. Accept it. And you're a player? The best player. I win at everything I do." "Everything?" "Everything that matters." He was still smiling, but his eyes were cold. This wasn't just about business or school board complaints. This was about territory. About showing me exactly where I stood in the food chain. "You know what I think?" I said. "What's that?" "I think players who cheat usually get caught eventually." His smile never wavered. "Good thing I never cheat." Julia and Amanda returned, both looking like they'd had an intense conversation. We finished dinner in uncomfortable silence, then walked to our cars. "What was that about?" Julia hissed as soon as we were alone. "What was what about?" "You were practically attacking Travis. He's trying to help my career." "I'm sure he's very helpful." "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing, just making conversation." She grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. "Listen to me very carefully, Andy. Travis Dorsey is the most important person in this town. Cross him and you'll lose your job, your reputation, everything. Do you understand me?" "Perfectly." "Good, because I won't let you ruin this opportunity for us." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Travis's smile, Julia's threats, the way everyone in that restaurant looked at me like I was something stuck to their shoe. At 2 a.m., I got up and walked to my home office. I opened my laptop and started researching Travis Dorsey. Public records, newspaper articles, business filings. By dawn, I had a folder full of interesting information. Travis wasn't just a successful developer. He was a predator who'd been getting away with it for years because he had money and connections. But money and connections couldn't protect him from everything. especially not from a high school English teacher who'd finally learned the difference between being a protagonist and being a victim. Brent found me in my classroom during lunch, eating a sad sandwich and staring at my laptop screen. "You look like you're planning a murder," he said. "Just research." He peered over my shoulder. "Travis Dorsey's business dealings. This is either very boring or very dangerous." "Probably both." Brent sat down, suddenly serious. "Andy, I need to tell you something about Travis." "What about him?" "He's my half-brother." I nearly choked on my sandwich. "What?" "Same father, different mothers. Dad had an affair when I was 12. Travis is the result." "Jesus, Brent. Why didn't you ever tell me?" "Because I hate the bastard. Always have." Dad left my mom for Travis's mother, then abandoned both families when Travis turned 18. Travis got the trust fund. I got student loans and a job at Dairy Queen. This changed everything. So when you offered to help me, I meant it. Travis has been ruining lives his whole existence. Yours, mine, half the women in this town. Someone needs to stop him. What do you know? Brent pulled out his phone and showed me a series of photos. Travis keeps a trophy collection. Photos of all his conquests. He's got them stored on a cloud server. The photos were damning. Travis with at least a dozen different women, all married, all prominent in the community. Julia appeared in several recent shots. "How did you get these?" I know his passwords. He's not as smart as he thinks." "This is incredible. We could destroy him." "We could, but we need to be smart about it. Travis has connections. If we just dump this online, he'll claim they're fake and sue us into oblivion." "So what do you suggest?" "We make him destroy himself, publicly, in a way that can't be denied or covered up." That evening, Julia announced another business trip. 3 days in Indianapolis, big convention, with Travis, with several colleagues. It's a professional development opportunity. Of course it is. After she left, I called Brent. "They're gone for 3 days. That's our window." "Window for what?" "Phase 1. Travis drove his vintage Corvette everywhere, treating it like a mobile monument to his success. It was always parked in the same spot outside his office building, gleaming under the streetlights like a red beacon of arrogance. At midnight, Brent and I crept through the downtown shadows like teenagers pulling a prank. Except this wasn't a prank. This was war. "You sure about this?" Brent whispered. "Completely sure. I had researched this carefully. Nothing permanent, nothing that would cause real damage. Just a message." We covered the Corvette in biodegradable glitter, the kind that sticks to everything and takes weeks to clean off. Then we placed a small device under the hood that would trigger when the engine started, releasing more glitter throughout the interior. The final touch was a note tucked under the windshield wiper. "Cheaters always get caught. Nis a friend." The next morning, half of downtown witnessed Travis's humiliation as his precious car exploded in a cloud of pink and gold glitter. He stood there in his expensive suit, covered head to toe in sparkles, looking like a very angry fairy godmother. The video went viral within hours. But that was just the beginning. Phase 2 targeted Julia's professional reputation. I created anonymous social media accounts and began sharing rumors about her business practices. Nothing libelous, just questions. Why did she always get the best listings? How did she close deals so quickly? What kind of extra services did she provide to clients? The real estate community was small and gossipy. Within days, whispers were spreading throughout Maplewood. Phase 3 was the masterstroke. Julia's friend Marcia was having a housewarming party, a big social event where all the important people would gather to see and be seen. Julia had been planning her outfit for weeks, treating it like a campaign appearance. I wasn't invited, of course. I was just the boring husband who stayed home and graded papers. Except this time, I had other plans. I spent the afternoon setting up equipment in our garage, a projector, speakers, and a laptop loaded with very interesting content. Then I waited. At 9 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Package delivered." Ah, perfect. At Marcia's party, the entertainment system would mysteriously malfunction during Julia's grand entrance. Instead of background music, the speakers would play audio recordings of her phone conversations with Travis. Intimate details about their affair, cruel comments about me, and discussions of how they planned to hide assets during the divorce. But the real show would be the projector, which would display a slideshow of photos from their hotel stays, complete with timestamps and credit card receipts. Julia would be exposed in front of everyone who mattered in her world. No denying it, no spinning it, No claiming it was fake, just pure, undeniable truth. My phone rang at 9:47 p.m. Julia, screaming so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. You bastard! How could you do this to me? Do what? You know what you did. I'm at home grading papers, having a quiet evening. I'll destroy you for this. With what? Your sterling reputation? She hung up. 20 minutes later, Travis called. You think you're clever, don't you? I think I'm educated. There's a difference. This isn't over. You're right, it's just getting started. He hung up too. I poured myself a scotch and sat on my back porch, looking up at the stars. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Tomorrow would bring consequences. Julia would come home furious. Travis would start making threats. The whole town would be talking. But tonight, for just a few hours, justice felt possible. Julia came home at 6 a.m., looking like she'd been through a blender. Mascara streaked down her cheeks, her designer dress wrinkled and stained with what looked like red wine. She found me in the kitchen, calmly eating breakfast and reading the morning news. You destroyed me, she said. I revealed you. There's a difference. She collapsed into a chair, suddenly looking older than her 39 years. Everyone saw. Everyone knows. Yes, they do. Marcia kicked me out of her house. Gina won't return my calls. The whole party just stopped. Everyone's staring at me like I was some kind of freak show. How does it feel? What? Being the entertainment instead of the entertainer. Having everyone whisper about you instead of with you. Her face crumpled. I'm sorry, Andy. I'm so sorry. It was a mistake, a stupid mistake. Travis means nothing to me. Travis means everything to you. He means money and status and excitement. All the things I apparently don't provide. That's not true. I showed her my phone, which contained screenshots of her text messages to Travis. Messages calling me pathetic, boring, a loser she was stuck with, until she could figure out how to leave without losing half her assets. Your words, not mine. She stared at the screen, her face cycling through emotions, shame, anger, fear, calculation. I could see her trying to figure out how to spin this, how to make herself the victim. You violated my privacy. You violated our marriage. It's not the same thing. You're right. Marriage is supposed to be sacred. Privacy is just a luxury. My phone buzzed. A text from Principal Golding. Need to see you immediately. At school, I found Golding waiting with two men in expensive suits. Lawyers, obviously. Andy, these gentlemen represent Travis Dorsey. They have some concerns about your recent behavior. The taller lawyer spoke first. Mr. Harlan, our client believes you've been harassing him. The incident with his car, the disruption at last night's party. He's prepared to file charges. What charges? I haven't broken any laws. Vandalism, harassment, invasion of privacy. Prove it. They couldn't, of course. I'd been careful not to leave evidence. But they didn't need proof to make my life difficult. Mr. Harlan, the second lawyer said, our client is prepared to be reasonable. Drop this vendetta, issue a public apology, and he'll consider not pursuing legal action. And if I refuse, then you'll face the full consequences of your actions. I looked at Principal Golding, who was clearly uncomfortable with the whole situation. What's the school's position on this? The school district doesn't want to be involved in personal disputes, she said carefully. But if there are criminal charges, I understand. After the lawyers left, Golding closed her office door. Andy, what the hell is going on? I told her everything. The affair, the humiliation, the revenge. She listened without interrupting, her expression growing more concerned with each detail. Jesus, Andy, I had no idea. Now you do. But this has to stop. Travis Dorsey owns half this town. He can make problems for the school, for both of us. So I should just take it, let him destroy my marriage and threaten my job? I'm saying pick your battles. This isn't a fight you can win. But she was wrong. I was already winning. That afternoon, Amanda Dorsey called me. Mr. Harlan, this is Amanda Dorsey, Travis's wife. Could we meet? I think we need to talk. We met at a coffee shop on the other side of town, away from prying eyes. Amanda looked tired and defeated, like a woman who'd given up fighting a long time ago. I saw the photos, she said without preamble. I'm sorry you had to find out that way. I've known for years. Travis isn't subtle, but seeing it all laid out like that. She shook her head. 23 years of marriage, 3 children, and this is what I get. What do you want to do about it? I want to hurt him the way he's hurt me, but I don't know how. I might have some ideas. I showed her the research I'd compiled on Travis's business dealings, questionable contracts, zoning violations, bribes disguised as campaign contributions. Nothing definitively illegal, but enough to raise serious questions. "This is incredible," she said. "How did you find all this?" "I'm a teacher. Research is what I do. What do you need from me?" "Access. You're his wife. You see his files, his phone calls, his meetings. You know where the real secrets are buried." She was quiet for a long moment. "If I help you, there's no going back. He'll destroy me in the divorce. He's already destroying you. At least this way, you fight back." She nodded slowly. "What do you want me to do?" That evening, Julia tried a different approach. She cooked my favorite dinner, wore the dress I'd bought her for our anniversary, acted like the woman I'd fallen in love with 15 years ago. "I've been thinking," she said over wine. "Maybe we should take a vacation. Get away from all this drama. Work on our marriage." Interesting timing. I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But we can fix this, Andy. We can go back to the way things were. The way things were was you lying to me every day while screwing Travis Dorsey. She flinched. "That's over. I ended it. You ended it because you got caught. Does it matter why? It's over. We can start fresh." I studied her face, looking for any sign of genuine remorse. All I saw was calculation. She was trying to manage the situation, minimize the damage to her reputation and finances. "What did Travis say when you broke up with him?" He wasn't happy, but he understood. Did he threaten you?" "What do you mean? Did he say he'd ruin you if you left him? Destroy your career? Make sure you never work in real estate again?" Her silence was answer enough. "So you didn't end it because you felt guilty. You ended it because Travis cut you loose to protect himself." It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. You're not here because you love me. You're here because you need me. Your reputation is shot, your career is in free fall, and your sugar daddy just kicked you to the curb." "Don't say that." "Why not? It's true." She started crying then, big theatrical sobs that might have moved me a month ago. Now they just sounded like another performance. "I made a mistake, Andy, a terrible mistake, but I love you. I've always loved you." "No, Julia, you love what I represent. Stability, respectability, a backup plan for when your real life falls apart. That's not fair." "Fair?" I laughed, and it came out harsher than I intended. "You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that I worked 2 jobs to put you through real estate school? Is it fair that I've spent 15 years being grateful that someone like you would settle for someone like me? Is it fair that you've been planning to divorce me and take half of everything I've worked for?" I never said that. You didn't have to. I've seen the lawyer consultations in your calendar, the financial documents you've been hiding, the separate bank account you opened 6 months ago. Her face went white. "You've been spying on me. I've been paying attention." Finally, she stood up abruptly. "I can't do this anymore. I can't live with someone who doesn't trust me." "Good, because I can't live with someone I can't trust." "Fine, I'll stay at Marcia's tonight. Marcia won't take your calls, remember? Then I'll find somewhere else. I'm sure you will." After she left, I sat in our empty house and felt something I hadn't experienced in years: peace. The performance was over. The pretense was done. For better or worse, the truth was finally out in the open. My phone buzzed with a text from Amanda Dorsey. "I found something. We need to meet tomorrow." Amanda met me at the same coffee shop, but this time she looked different, determined, angry. She slid a manila folder across the table. "Travis keeps a safe in his home office. I've known the combination for years. It's our wedding date, if you can believe the irony. Last night, after he passed out drunk, I copied everything." The folder contained financial records, contracts, photographs, and correspondence that painted a picture of systematic corruption. Travis hadn't just been cheating on his wife, he'd been cheating the entire town. "This is incredible," I said, flipping through bank statements, showing payments to city council members. "How long has this been going on?" "Years, maybe decades. Travis thinks he's untouchable because he owns everyone who matters." "Not everyone." "What do you mean? There's someone he doesn't own." "Someone with the authority to investigate all of this." I pulled out my phone and called Detective Maria Santos, a former student who'd graduated 10 years ago and joined the state police. She owed me a favor. I'd written recommendation letters for her academy application and testified as a character witness when she'd been falsely accused of misconduct by a corrupt local sheriff. Mr. Harlan, this is a surprise. Maria, I need your help. I have evidence of municipal corruption that goes way beyond local jurisdiction. What kind of evidence? The kind that could bring down half the city government. We met that afternoon at the state police barracks. Maria had become a tough, competent investigator who specialized in white-collar crime. She reviewed Amanda's documents with professional detachment. This is serious stuff, Mr. Harlan. Bribery, tax evasion, fraud. If even half of this is accurate, your friend Travis is looking at federal charges. What do you need from us? More evidence. These documents are a good start, but I need corroboration. Witnesses, additional records, maybe some recorded conversations. I can get you recordings. How? Travis is going to call me. Soon. He's going to make threats, try to scare me into backing down. When he does, I'll be ready. I didn't have to wait long. Travis called that evening, his voice tight with barely controlled rage. You think you're smart, don't you, Andy? I think I'm learning. You have no idea what you're messing with. I built this town. I own this town. You mean you bought this town? Same thing, and I can destroy you with a phone call. Go ahead, make your call. You want to play hardball? Fine. By tomorrow morning, you'll be fired from your job. By next week, you'll be facing criminal charges. By next month, you'll be bankrupt and homeless. Anything else? Yeah. Stay away from my wife. Amanda's confused right now, but she'll come to her senses. What if she doesn't? Then she'll learn the same lesson you're about to learn. Nobody crosses Travis Dorsey and walks away. The line went dead. I stopped the recording and called Maria. Got it all? Every word. That's conspiracy and witness intimidation at minimum. What happens now? Now we move fast, before he realizes what's coming. The next morning brought chaos. Federal agents raided Travis's office and home simultaneously, seizing computers, files, and financial records. Local news crews arrived within minutes, turning downtown Maplewood into a media circus. I watched from my classroom window as Travis was led away in handcuffs, his expensive suit wrinkled, his silver hair disheveled. For once in his life, he wasn't in control. Principal Golding appeared in my doorway. Did you know this was going to happen? I hoped it would happen. The school board is meeting this afternoon. There are questions about your involvement. What kind of questions? The kind that could cost you your job. But I wasn't worried anymore. I had allies now. Maria Santos, Amanda Dorsey, even Brent Morrison. More importantly, I had the truth. That afternoon, Julia returned to the house looking defeated and desperate. She'd obviously heard about Travis's arrest and realized her world was collapsing. Andy, we need to talk. About what? About our future. About what happens next. There is no our future, Julia. There's your future and my future, separately. You can't mean that. I've never meant anything more. She sat down at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd found that first receipt. What do you want? Money? The house? I'll give you whatever you want. I want you to leave. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore. I have nowhere to go, Andy. Travis is finished. My career is ruined. My friends won't talk to me. You should have thought of that before you decided to humiliate me for sport. I never meant to hurt you. Yes, you did. You meant to hurt me every time you laughed about me with Travis. Every time you called me pathetic to your friends. Every time you came home from your hotel room and pretended to love me. She was crying again, but this time it looked real. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know you are. You're sorry you got caught. Sorry your plan didn't work. Sorry you can't control the situation anymore. That's not true, isn't it? You're not here because you realized you love me. You're here because you need me. Because I'm the only person left who might help you. Would you help me? I looked at her, really looked at her, for what felt like the first time in years. She was still beautiful, still charming when she wanted to be. But I could see through all of that now to the calculating, selfish person underneath. No, I said, I wouldn't. She left that night, taking only what she could fit in her car. I never asked where she went, and she never told me. A week later, the federal investigation expanded to include Mayor Richardson, 3 city council members, and the county planning commissioner. The local newspaper ran a series of articles about corruption in Maplewood, with my name mentioned as a concerned citizen who brought evidence to authorities. Amanda Dorsey filed for divorce and moved to her sister's house in California. Before she left, she stopped by to thank me. I never thought I'd have the courage to leave him, she said. You always had the courage. You just needed a reason to use it. Oh, what will you do now? Teach, grade papers, live quietly. Sounds peaceful. It sounds perfect. 2 months later, I was grading essays when my phone rang. It was Maria Santos. Thought you'd want to know. Travis pled guilty to federal corruption charges. He's looking at 10 to 15 years. What about the others? Richardson resigned. The council members are facing charges. It's going to take years to clean up the mess, but it's a start. And Julia. Last I heard, she moved to Phoenix, working at a call center. After I hung up, I sat in my empty house and felt something I hadn't experienced in years: satisfaction. Not happiness, exactly, but the deep contentment that comes from seeing justice done. I had started this journey as a victim, the boring husband who got cheated on and humiliated. But I was ending it as something else entirely. Not a hero, exactly. Heroes don't destroy people's lives, even when those people deserve it. No. I was something more interesting than a hero. I was a man who had learned the difference between being good and being effective, between being nice and being respected. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find Catalina, the waitress from that first night at the wine bar. She was holding a bottle of wine and smiling. "I heard you might be lonely," she said. "Where did you hear that?" "Small town. People talk." "What else do people say?" "They say you're the man who brought down Travis Dorsey. They say you're either very brave or very dangerous. What do you think?" "I think you're both. Can I come in?" I stepped aside and let her enter. For the first time in months, the house didn't feel empty. Outside, the October wind rattled the windows, carrying the scent of dying leaves and the promise of winter. But inside, by the fireplace, with good wine and better company, it felt like spring. I had learned something important over the past few months. Revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting free. Free from the people who diminish you, free from the lies you tell yourself, free from the fear that keeps you small. Travis Dorsey was in federal prison. Julia was working in a call center in Phoenix. And I was here, in my own house, with a woman who looked at me like I mattered. Sometimes the good guys do win. They just have to be willing to stop being good.